Welcome to From Carpool to College, a show for parents who are trying to keep their sanity while navigating the college planning landscape. Today's episode is a special bonus conversation recorded at the tail end of our AI series earlier this season, when Professors Tom and Dawn stayed on after the official recording wrapped. We kept the microphones running, and what followed turned into a hilarious, candid, and slightly unfiltered public service announcement from college professors everywhere. They talk about AI in the classroom, overly involved parents, and students who may think they're a little smarter than they actually are. It's cheeky, honest, and definitely worth the listen. Joining us, Professor Tom again.
Good to be here, as
and
always.
Professor Dawn, thank you. We hope you will come back.
Thank you. I would love
As
to.
well. Awesome stuff. And I'm Tracy Amadeo.
And Tara Horitz.
And this is From Carpool to College. Thank you for joining. And that's it. That's
Can we
for
do
Chris.
one on parents? What you should not do. Don't talk to the professor. Don't call my office. Did we do one of those?
Let's do, you know what? I'm still rolling. Let's do a bonus clip and we'll put this on, we could put this on a teaser.
Yeah, totally could.
Sure.
What not to do in college?
Do
Okay.
not email
The
the
professor.
professor. Let the student email the professor.
Do not write an email and sign your student's name.
Do not use AI.
Do not
to write
use
the
AI to
email.
Mhm.
How about do not show up at your office?
Do
not show up at my
office.
Have you ever?
Oh yes.
No.
Yes.
Oh yes.
No.
My favorite is the phone call. I pay the bill, so you answer my questions. No, it doesn't work that way. There's laws.
Yes.
What
Oh,
else?
gosh.
Don't email me at 2:00 in the morning expecting that I'm going to respond at 2:05.
Or don't send me an email at 8 a.m. that said, I sent you an email already.
That was at 2:05.
At 2:05 in the morning.
I told you the other episode we talked about this. I used to joke and say that Dr. Kendall Jackson wrote that, because there's some of those off hours. It's like, that was co-written by a glass of
Co-written
red.
by a glass of red for sure.
My favorite question is from a parent is, how can my child do better in your class?
Yeah, just be a better student.
I gave a syllabus. Perhaps they
Oh
should
my gosh.
follow it.
Can we talk syllabus?
Do
Like what is a syllabus?
Yes.
If you're asking me, what are we covering in this class? Read the syllabus. When is this due? Read the syllabus. What do you want me to read? We lay it out as the instruction manual for this course, right?
Yes.
That is our contract. I promise you to teach you this. You promise to follow these rules.
Yes.
And then we assess you based on, that's it.
Right.
It is transactional and simple.
Yep.
And it is like our mini Bible for that class.
Yes.
And students don't but sometimes students do read it, but then parents are just kind of like, I need an extension. Well, you're not in the class, number one. So I don't know why you would need an extension, but there's a policy here that says, sorry, no extensions.
Yes. No late assignments. No late exams without prior notification.
Right. Well, so I do. Some students giggle at this, but every time I'm very big on no makeups. Only if you contact me ahead of time.
Exactly.
Because I tell them first day, I say, listen, we are academically dating, right? We have a date every week. We're supposed to meet. Imagine like we're going out for dinner. Yeah. If you don't message me ahead of time saying that you're blowing me off, why should I be kind enough to have a second date?
Right.
Right? So send me a message. Yeah. All that has to be is, hey, prof, I'm not coming in today. I'll even take that. That's fine. You let me know.
Yeah.
I'll extend the courtesy and say, go ahead, let's reschedule or what have you, right?
Yep.
But it comes back to what we were talking about people, right? We're helping them, guide them into like social protocol. And you can't, it's not entirely transactional where it's just give me what I want, give me what I need.
No.
This is how we interact in a professional environment. Yeah. There's gives and takes.
I always tell them, if you let me know before class starts, we can work on anything.
Yeah.
We can work anything out.
Yeah.
And then a week later, I get, Professor, I was really sick and I missed, and I wasn't thinking. And I said, you were supposed to let me know that you were sick, and then I would help you. You
Right.
can't let me know a week
Right.
after you were sick,
Right.
or
Or
2
wait
weeks.
for a week before the final exam and be like, what can I make up to get a better
Oh
grade?
my gosh. Can I have extra credit? You can't be asking for extra credit right now. We haven't finished yet. You haven't learned everything yet.
They don't have an A by the second week, and so they're freaking out.
They
already.
need the extra credit.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I have a question for you.
Sure.
We're still rolling?
We're still
Yeah.
rolling.
Okay. So you guys are at the cusp, or you're at the new stage of where parents are like, I have
Right.
I have to. And so it's obvious that you're going to get that. The parents trying to help, some more than others. Have you seen an increase in that, decrease in it, or is it kind of like ebbs and flows depending on like the year?
It's funny. I would say it ebbs and flows, but it's increased in some areas, decreased in others, I would say. So whereas I would have parents try to reach out to remediate failures, like they know they're getting an F. The parent's angry because they just paid the tuition bill and their son or daughter's getting an F. So they're dragging the student with them to say, I need you to tell me why he or she's failing. That used to be the most common. Now I really see less of that. And I see parents trying to be the administrator of their child's education and say, so-and-so will not be in class today. Why are you telling me that?
Right.
Shouldn't the student, as an adult and responsible for their education, shouldn't they be interacting? And, for a lot of institutions with professors, we say we will, it's policy that we only respond to emails within the domain, right? We only respond to student email. If you're an outside person, that email might not get responded to, because we don't know where it's coming from,
You know where it's
And, well, we
Right.
know, right?
But
We could, right, and be there. And what I think parents also, there are laws in place. Education is private, right?
Yes.
Everybody has the right to privacy as far as their academic planning is concerned, right?
Yes.
So if we were to talk to parents, unless those rights are waived, we're breaking the law.
Yep.
So just like HIPAA,
Yep.
helps keep your medical information private, FERPA protects your educational information. So, that's usually our first step, is to tell parents, I will have a conversation with the student.
Yeah.
Yes.
I cannot have a conversation
Right.
with you. And I'll be honest with you, 9 times out of 10, parents are very understanding of that. But the ones that are the trouble-ish ones are usually, they don't deal with class issues. They deal with advisement. Oh, I need to be in an advisement session so I can figure out what my son or daughter is going to take next semester. Why are you planning that for them?
Right.
Shouldn't they be planning out their academic plan? Shouldn't they figure out what they want to do?
Yeah, it's very much from the administrative side. It's like, I don't get a lot of questions about assignments and things like that, but it's like in the beginning of the semester, what textbook do they need? When does the class meet? When should I expect this to happen? When can we sit down and talk about classes,
Right.
and what's going to come next? It's more the overall executive functioning.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's not the day-to-day coming to class and am I passing the test?
Right.
It's more, the overall, management of their career. And
I asked a parent once, I said, what's the goal here? Because I was in an advisement meeting with the student and the parent. He had waived his rights to allow the parent into the meeting. And the parent did all the talking for 40 minutes. And I finally asked the student, I said, what is your goal here? What, I playfully say, when we grow up, what do we want to be? Why are we in college? What are we here to learn? And that's the whole thing, right? What are we here to learn? Not, what are we going to get out of here? I want a job. Okay, great. So do we all, right? I mean, we'd all like to be independently wealthy, but we need to work. How do we want to work? What do we want to get involved in? And 9 times out of 10, you could tell that student's very wishy-washy, or they're deferring to the parent to tell them what they should be doing. And that's the type of student that I think decades ago was your basket weaving major turned lawyer turned business major. Like, they would just keep hopping through different majors until they found what resonated with them. And what this process is doing, that parents, unfortunately, I feel that they're doing, is they are robbing them of that exploratory experience. And it's just, no, you got to get it right on the first try.
I agree.
Right?
They need to explore.
They need to explore.
They need to explore. So I teach a class in cybersecurity, and one of the topics that comes up is laws, and FERPA is a law.
Right.
And their eyes widen. They had no idea that they had privacy and that they could say, no, I don't want my parents to know about what's happening. I want to be able to manage it. And it's like a revelation for them. They're like, I just thought my parents had to run everything. And I'm like, no, that's not actually the case. You have control when you're 18.
And while it may be necessary for that point in time, right? Maybe some students don't have the maturity level or what have you, and it may be necessary. But the end goal here, and I think every parent would agree, they're trying to develop, students and children that are going to grow up to take control of their lives and be able to learn from themselves, make decisions for themselves.
Yes.
And I think sometimes those super helpful parents, we'll call it that, right? They
That's
are
sarcasm, listeners.
They are really they're robbing that experience, right? They're delaying the need to develop that skill.
Well, and this is what Tara and I talk about all the time, about if we don't have time machines and parents cannot go back in time, but parents listening to this conversation, this bonus reel, if you will, Tara, middle school classroom, my middle school parents listening, let your kids fail.
Failure is always an option.
Let them get, let me put it in terms that the parents will understand. Let your kid get the C.
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
Yes.
Yes.
Let your, Tara's like, I'm not going to say anything.
No.
But let your kid get the C. Let your kid get the D in middle school when the stakes are lower.
Yes.
Let them fail. Parents, when your kids are getting into high school, again, let them walk on their own. Give them space. Because by the time they get into Professor Tom's room and by the time they get into Professor Dawn's room, the stakes are too high. You're paying $60,000 a year. You really want to let them fail now, and you really should have been letting them fail back then.
Yeah.
But if we could just walk away with any kind of words of advice.
Yeah, and I just want to really kind of hit that point, because it feeds into the Dunning-Kruger effect. Do you know the Dunning-Kruger effect? It's where folks of low ability overestimate their ability. So when you are constantly an A student, because that A was given, not earned, and I'll leave it at that, right? However way.
I wish, thank God we're not on video right now. Professor Dawn's body language is amazing. She has her hands over her face.
You're going to get
She's
that
shaking her
student
head.
that walks into your classroom and goes, well, I was an A student. I don't understand why I'm getting a C.
I have that this semester.
Right. Yes.
He says, but in high school, I had all A's. I never received anything lower than an A. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry you don't know what you need to know.
So, my scholarly professor, what is this called?
So it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. Okay. And it's a cognitive bias, basically. And it describes a systematic tendency that the people of low ability in a specific area, let's say math, for example, let's say you're mediocre at math. You're not a whiz at math, but you're average at math. But because you were assessed based on your peers or what have you, you may have come across getting all A's and all 100s. So you now walk around thinking, I'm Stephen Hawking, right? And because every class I got an A and everything. And so you have an overly positive assessment of your ability when looked at objectively against the criteria at a global scale, right? Or at a mainstream scale, you're average. You're average at best, right? And so oftentimes when you get to professors, they get to us, we are experts in our field. we know what average is. We know what a Stephen Hawking level individual is, right? So when you come to our class, we're explaining a basic concept and you're looking at us like we have 5 heads. We start going, well, you may have gotten A's. I don't know why, but you did. But it's not about the grade, because the grade is not a measure of your competence. The grade is just how you were assessed given that cycle, right? So the grade doesn't matter to me. Do you know the topic?
Right.
That's what's important in higher ed, is the acquisition of knowledge. So this Dunning-Kruger effect is, and it happens not just with grades, but with everything, right? If you're big, with the whole story about being big man on campus, and then you're now
big
small
fish in a small pond.
That's right. And then you go to a bigger
Everyone
pond.
at Princeton.
And that's
I was
all
thinking about this
Dunning-Kruger
in relation to where we went to school.
Right.
We were the cream of the crop where we went to school. And
Yeah.
then when we went to college, and it was like, oh my God.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Like, hold on. I am not,
No.
And to Professor Dawn's point, and we're being careful not to say what school it is. It's a very high level school, high achieving.
Yes.
And as Tara and I work with families in college planning, parents may not realize that, yes, there are schools that are more competitive to gain acceptance to, but that's for a reason, because the level at which the material is taught and presented is much more difficult. I was just having a conversation with a student who wants to be a teacher, and I said, "You want to go to that school for your teaching degree?" Every class at that school is like an AP class. And this is a girl who just hadn't had any AP classes.
Yeah.
And I said, and that's not wrong or right. I said, but do you want that? Do you realize you're going into that level if that's where you want to go to school? But they don't know. But back to your point about the inflated sense of ability, I call that the Rocky III effect. And for my families who have watched Rocky III, when Rocky wants to fight Clubber Lang, Mr. T, and Mick, his coach is like, "No, Rock, this guy is going to pulverize you. You can't go up against this guy." And Rocky's like, "What do you mean, Mick? I'm like undefeated. I have all this great record." And it's like, "This guy's going to murder you."
Yeah.
Right? It's this whole realization that, like, what have I been doing?
And that's where the failure is an option and a great lesson, right?
Yes.
Especially when you're younger and the stakes are less, right?
Yes.
To follow up on that story, I was top 20 in my high school. I never studied. Stuff just came naturally, or so I thought, right? I thought, oh, you just got to pay attention in class. That's all you got to do. And then I go to my first semester of college. They do a mid-semester progress report, and I'm pulling D's. And I was like, what do I do? Number one, my parents are going to kill me. We're spending a lot of money.
Yeah, how much is tuition?
Right. I'm like, what am I going to do? And I myself was at a disadvantage, because since I had not developed study skills, because their need wasn't there, I had no study skills. I thought the way you studied was to read the textbook. And so here I am reading a book, and I'm like, it's still want. Like, I don't, And then I learned that I need to interact with people, study groups, all that kind of, that helped. And we turned that around.
Yep.
But, if that lesson came earlier,
Yeah.
then I would have been better prepared and more resilient for a lot of this.
Yeah.
I truly believe that when I struggled freshman and sophomore year of college, and the turnaround that I was able to do junior and senior year, and then I went on for my master's, and I have kept going to school after that. And the people who went in and were much better prepared, and they've kind of, flatlined in their education. They're just happy in their jobs. Some of them aren't working right now. Some of them have not pursued advanced degrees. And I think it really humbled me to learn that I was not the best, because in high school I was the best. And it really made me kind of reevaluate, and I don't know. And I feel like I'm a better teacher because I see that you have to struggle and fail and push through to get better.
It taught you how to be a better student.
It did.
And that makes you a better
100%.
teacher.
Yeah. I have one of my favorite conversations with parents is when they call. We go through a conference and they say, "Oh, he's failing or she's failing. We should have done this or that or this or that. And we don't know what to do." And I say, "No, that's okay. That's okay. We're going to get him to the spot where he needs to be, but he's got to learn to go in and kind of work through it on his own." And I just recently had this conversation, and boy, oh boy, the turnaround, but it came from him. And it was so good to see that in the middle school level, because I know that this kid is going to be okay as he continues through the process, finishing off middle school, high school, and even college. He learned such good skills, and he's putting in the time now, and you can really see it.
And that's the joy, right? Because that student had the ability to rise to the occasion
Yeah.
instead of the expectation that he's already at the top.
Yes.
Right. And
Yep.
so we deny them that ability to rise to the occasion, which is why they're so anxious when they're not doing well, because they didn't know they needed to rise to the occasion. They only know how to fall off the pedestal.
Mm. Oh, I know somebody who can come in and give you stories about that. Save that for another time.
My goodness. Well, parents, we hope you enjoyed this bonus reel, if you will, of, my gosh, this is what professors, this is what educators talk about over coffee between classes. So
What kind of coffee?
Lakeborn coffee, baby. Oh my God, I'm hooked. I'm mainlining it. So, but this is what we talk about just trying to do our job to do right by your kids. And we're constantly reflecting, and we're so glad that you're listening to us, because you're constantly reflecting on how you could do right by your kids. So we hope that you took these nuggets, that maybe it gave you a laugh, maybe it scared the hell out of you. Either way, we're glad that you're here with us on From Carpool to College, and we will catch you next time.
See you, folks.
I see ya.
Thank you for listening to From Carpool to College. We never want parents to say, "I wish I knew then what I know now." If today's conversation gave you clarity or direction, we invite you to explore more at FromCarpoolToCollege.com. And if your family is looking for personalized college and career planning support, visit academicmentoringllc.com to learn how we guide students and their families through this process.